U.S.-led coalition airstrikes against ISIS in Iraq and Syria hit record levels in August, dropping 5,075 bombs during close air support, escort, or interdiction operations. That was the highest monthly total recorded during Operation Inherent Resolve, the three-year campaign against ISIS. The amount of bombs dropped in each of the first 8 months of 2017 exceeded the total of any other month during the campaign. The 32,801 weapons deployed by coalition aircraft through August 2017 is more than the 30,743 dropped all last year, which was the previous annual high for Operation Inherent Resolve. The sustained uptick in bombing during the first months of President Donald Trump's administration seems to fulfill his campaign promise to bomb the S out of ISIS. But the increase in bombings is also likely driven by intense operations in Mosul and Raqqa, ISIS' last major urban strongholds in Iraq and Syria, respectively. Close quarters fighting against determined ISIS militants in reinforced positions often necessitates close air support from Iraqi and coalition aircraft. Not all aircraft active over Iraq and Syria are under U.S. control, so the total number of weapons used is likely higher. Calls for airstrikes would come from forces on the ground that an enemy's been identified, say, in this House, U.S. Marine Corps Brigadier General Robert Sof, director of the Combined Joint Operations Center in Baghdad, told Business Insider earlier this month. CJOC, as it's called, liaises with Iraqi security forces and government officials and is one of 2 strike cells in Iraq that manage such engagements, Sof said. Reuters/Al Marjani. The enemy's been in a house, and that enemy's firing from this structure, Sof said, describing a potential strike scenario. So the first thing we do in a strike like that, we become aware of it, and we know where it is with great precision, 10-digit grids, down to the meter. Coalition personnel and their local partners have a database of Category 1 structures that they will avoid targeting because they have infrastructural or historic value, including religious centers or hospitals. ISIS fighters are known to make use of those structures for that reason, Sof said. If it's not that, it's still a Category 2 structure that we would have to go through a rigorous process to say, hey, this structure can be removed from its inherent protected status because of what's going there on now. There's fighters in there shooting at the Iraqi security forces. So first we establish that we can go engage with this thing, Sof told Business Insider. Then we apply some fairly strict criteria of positive identification. How do we know who that is and what they're doing? And we have multiple intelligence requirements. It can't just be one thing. We have multiple indications that that is in fact what's going on from that place, he said, adding, and then we have a legal review that says that engaging this target comports with the laws of armed conflict and that engaging in these circumstances is permissible according to those laws, and once we've established all of those things we go to the government of Iraq and ask them for permission to strike that building, and they'll say yes or no, and they do say both, depending on the structure. They do a pretty thorough review themselves. AP photo/Felipe Dana Sof said coalition personnel will then, within the bounds of proportionality, do engineering analysis to see what will be damaged in a strike and what effect it would have on nearby structures. That's followed by the weapon selection process. We have an array of weapons available in support of the Iraqi security forces, he said. We'll choose from among those and then use them in order to make sure that we do enough damage to kill the target and kill what it is that's attracted the Iraqi security forces' attention. Sof, who stressed coalition forces' efforts to avoid civilian casualties, said the actual process likely takes less time to complete than it does to describe, in part because of the experience they have doing it and because parts of it happen concurrently. The U.S.-led coalition's air campaign against ISIS has attracted intense scrutiny for the number of civilian casualties it is believed to have caused. Reuters/Yusuf Boudlil. According to Air Wars, a UK-based independent monitoring group, between Trump's inauguration and mid-July, more than 2,200 civilians appeared to have been killed in coalition airstrikes, almost as many as the 2,300 likely killed by coalition strikes under Obama. That works out to 80 civilian casualties a month under Obama and 360 a month during the Trump administration. Civilian deaths under Trump peaked in March, with nearly 700 confirmed or likely casualties. They have declined since June and July, when fighting in Mosul wrapped up. Concerns about the air campaign were also piqued by reports the coalition had loosened its rule